Okay, we're going to move into dividing decimals now. And in your notes, that should be page D5. You can see there at the top. And right here at the top, in the little paragraph, we have dividing decimals is a lot like regular numbers. So you're going to divide just like you do with regular numbers, except for one major change here. And the change is that you are not allowed to have decimals in the divisor. Okay, and if you remember what the divisor is the number that's on the outside of your division problem. Okay, that's a very bad V, sorry about that. But that's the number on the outside. Okay, so the number you're dividing by. Let me move this up just a little bit. Okay, so the example we have is we have this number, 3 and 725 thousandths divided by 5 tenths. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, we're just going to set up the problem. Okay, and we're going to set it up just like we always have, using the, depending on what you've heard, you've either heard the garage or the house, okay, whatever that number, however you've heard it. Okay, so, and again, when you're dividing, okay, if you remember back, the first number, okay, because it gets there first, it's the one that gets to go inside the house. So the first number should always be inside, that's the dividend. Okay, and dividend sounds like in, so it gets to be in the house. And the second number will always be the one that goes outside the house. That's the divisor. Okay, so it gets to be outside. Okay, now step 2. Once you've set up your problem, let me actually erase this because it looks like I erased went over part of my answer there. Step 2, move the decimal to the end of the divisor. Okay, the divisor again is the one on the outside. So move your decimal to the end of the divisor. And so if you can see here, okay, the decimal was right here in the beginning, right? 0.5 or 5 tenths. And you're not allowed to divide by decimals. So what you want to do is you want to move it over one spot so that it's gone. Now let's say, for instance, you had a different number. So instead it was 0.5, say it was like 0.25. Okay? You would have to move it then 2 times. You got to make sure it's all the way at the end. Okay, so however many decimal spots you have, move it all the way to the end. Okay, so that's step 2. Move the decimal to the end of the divisor. Now, step 3. Okay, and remember this with fractions, right? Whatever you do the top, you got to do the bottom. Okay, well, this is kind of like a fraction, right? Dividing and fractions are basically the same thing. And so what you're doing here is whatever you do to the outside, you have to do to the inside. Okay, so because we moved the outside or the divisor to the end, however many times you move the decimal on the outside, you have to move it the same amount of times on the inside. So it says move the decimal in the dividend the same amount of times. So see how we move this one time. So here was our decimal before. We're going to move it over here, okay, right after the 7. Okay, and then step 4, bring the decimal up. So after you move it, go straight up to the top and put it right above it. Okay, that way you know your decimal's in your right place. Let me move up just a little bit. Okay, step 5, divide like normal. Okay, now you just do your division. So you start out, 5 goes into 3, change this. 5 goes into 3, 0 times, so we put a 0. 5 goes into 37, 7 times. 7 times 5 is 35. Then you do your subtraction, so 7 minus 5 is 2. 3 minus 3 is 0, so we don't need to put that. Bring down your 2. Okay, 5 goes into 22, 4 times. Okay, 5 times 4 is 20, so 22 minus 20 is 2. Bring down your 5. 5 goes into 25 5 times. And 25 times 5 is 25. 25 minus 25 is 0. So you are done. And your answer here would be 7 and 45 hundredths. Okay. Now, let's see here. So down here it says add zeros, okay, if there is a remainder. Okay, so if you got to this last term and say that there was like 1 left over instead of 0, okay, you would have to add a 0 up here and then bring that 0 down and keep on going until you got finally an answer that was all done. That's what that's talking about, okay, until you have no remainder left. Or unless we told you to stop at like the hundredths or something like that, then you'd have to know your decimal places. Alright, so that's the basics of it. Okay, move your decimal to the end of the divisor. Okay, then do the same thing on the inside and bring it up, and then divide like normal. That's it. Okay, that's your whole steps. Alright, so hopefully you got those steps down. You got some try these down there. You got 2 of them. So give those 2 a shot, and then come on back and see how you did. Alright, so let's take a look here. Okay, we have the first example. So 5 and 58 thousandths divided by 9 tenths. Okay, so our first step, right, we have a decimal in our divisor, so we got to move it to the end. So let's move that 1 time. And now it just becomes 9. Okay, now, because we moved the outside 1 time, we need to move the inside 1 time. And then we bring it straight up. There you go. Okay, so now we're going to divide like normal. So 9 goes into 5, 0 times. 9 goes into 50. Okay, that's going to be 5 times. That'll be 45. And 50 minus 45 is 5. Bring down our 5. 9 goes into 55 6 times, and that's 54. 55 minus 54 is 1. Bring down our 8. 9 goes into 18 2 times. That's 18, and you are done. No remainder left. So we're done. 5 and 62 hundredths is our answer. Alright. Now, let's look at the next one. Okay, so we have a decimal in our divisor, so we got to move it to the end. That becomes 12. Then we got to move that the same amount of spots and bring it up. Okay. So 12 into 2, 0 times. 12 into 23, 1 time. That's 12. We subtract. 23 minus 12 is 11. We bring down the 5. Uh-oh, we got some big numbers going on here. So 12 goes into 115. Well, 10 is 120, so that's too much. So let's do 9. 12 times 9. Hopefully you know. It's 108. We subtract those, and you are left with 7. Now we excuse me. Now we have a remainder here, and we don't have any more numbers. So this is what we were talking about earlier, right? Okay, let me shrink this down just a little bit so I have some more room. Okay, so we got a 7 left over and no numbers left. So what you have to do, you have to add a 0 and bring it down. Okay, so 12 goes into 70. Well, it can't go in evenly, so we're going to go 12 times 5. 12 times 5 is 60. Subtract those, you get 10. Oh goodness, we're going to keep going for a while here. Okay, still a remainder. Bring down, add another 0. 12 goes into 100. 8 times. That's 96. Holy cow, so we got 4 left over. Add a 0. Bring it down. Okay, 12 goes into 40. 3 times. That's 36. Uh-oh. Looks like we have a repeater here. Let me move this up a little bit. 12 goes in, and we subtract, and we get a 4. And we're going to get another 0 here. And look at that, we got 40 again. So we have a repeating decimal. So when you have a repeating decimal, what you do is you just find the number that repeats, and you put a bar over it, and you're done. Okay, so we're there, started repeating, so we're all done. So our answer is 19 and 583 thousandths with a repeating bar over the 3. Alright, so hopefully you got the trick there. Okay, remember, if you have a remainder and you don't get an answer, okay, you got to keep adding zeros and bringing them down. Add zeros, bring it down. Alright.